My name is Roger Lear. I'm co-founder of GreatInsuranceJobs.com, bringing insurance jobs since 2001. And today I'm going to talk to you about something that is just so passionate to me, and that is how to optimize your insurance industry resume. So many of you have applied to so many great jobs and maybe never heard anything back from the employer, and you think, hey, is that the employer not liking what they see in me? Maybe I did something wrong, whatever the case might be. There's a lot of snafus along the way, but one of them that you can control 100% is the way you present yourself. And this video is so important because is exactly the way you want to write your resume, but I also will teach you why we write it this way so you truly understand, and I think it'll really make sense to you. So, as we go through today's presentation, I'm just really excited to be able to bring this information to you, and we're going to have a really good opportunity to learn together. And feel free to email me, call me, anything to get even more information. I'm very open about that. But we're going to do a resume remake in the middle of this thing as well. So I'm going to take a resume that's okay, and I'm going to make it even better. And then we're really going to talk about a lot of things with the applicant tracking system and why you're not getting the results that you desire. And quite honestly, this is focused on the insurance industry, but if you have friends or family that are struggling in a job search, I can almost essentially guarantee you that it has something to do with the resume and how it's being perceived in different things. But just a little bit about me, just so you know, I've been in the insurance recruiting industry for years, and not only am I understand how to recruit individuals, but I also understand the technology that's being brought up not only with artificial intelligence, machine learning, applicant tracking systems, and so forth. And through all the organizations that I get involved in, everything I do involves either helping job seekers get jobs or helping employers understand what tools are out there to find people like yourself and so forth. Your resume is a big deal, and it still is a big deal. And we're also going to do a thing on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn and your resume kind of go hand in hand in today's world. But I'm going to dispel so many myths about the resume. But more importantly than that, I'm going to give you a very solid plan of attack so you can get the job that you really want and not sit back and wait for employers to get in touch with you because they can't decipher your unoptimized resume, which, in my opinion, probably 75 to 80% of the resumes that I see are not optimized. So lots of mistakes always made, but the friends and family, I love the idea, oh, you can't have a 2-page resume or a 3-page resume. All the different ideas people have about a resume, and a lot of them are right. Everybody wants to help, but from a technology standpoint and what you're trying to accomplish standpoint, we're gonna really hit this head on. And one of the biggest mistakes most people make is they go to Google and they go, build a perfect resume, right? Well, a lot of these sites, they'll charge you money, which some of them are very legit, don't get me wrong on any of that stuff. The bottom line with all of it is you guys are claims adjusters, underwriters, risk managers, brokers, agents, whatever you are. You specialize in that. You don't specialize in resumes and in taking the information of your career and getting it somehow on a piece of paper that makes sense to the employer. And a lot of these companies that can do that, do a decent job of it. But it's to make sure that you get some jobs. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to go through some resumes that I just pulled up and taken off people's names and addresses and things like that. But just to kind of go over, because these are typical resumes that we see. Person's name at the top. You see all the information on the where they live. They have the word home and email. We do know that that's an email address. Then they go right into what they do for a living, and it's in a major run-on sentence, right? It goes forever. Not that that information's bad, but there's no format to it. So that resume is kind of weird. This resume here, it's just, there's colors, there's reverse text type, there's all kinds of stuff going on here. In today's resume, you don't need flash and so forth. It has to be clear and concise. Again, not that this resume is going to stop you, but a lot of times if this resume goes the wrong way into an applicant tracking system and it's not formatted properly and it's not in a PDF properly, it may not even be able to register in some companies' ATS systems, believe it or not, in the applicant tracking system. Here's another resume, just wordsmithed out of the wordsmithing word and so forth. But you can see lots of keywords, lots of things in there, but it just makes no sense. I have to decipher what this particular individual does, and it's going to take me some time. And if I'm a recruiter, I may take the time, but make it easy for the robots, make it easy for the humans. Here's another example of a resume. Again, it's a two-page deal. They have a summary, they've got their experience, they've got a bunch of stuff up in email and sell. Again, that's, as you will find out, is one of my biggest pet peeves and so forth. It's not bad. I mean, they do the classic bullet point, and there's pieces of this resume I actually really like. And then there's other parts of this resume that, are probably more than what is out there. What I always get amazed by too is how many misspellings are in resumes still to this day, even with spell check, because spell check can't catch everything. Here's a block resume. Your resume looks like this. It just screams that you've been you've got a program that can still create this type of document, and that's not a real healthy thing, because as you look through this, you've got each commercial insurance producer, underwriter, rater. You see a great progression of jobs, but you don't see any information of what you did. How successful were you? That kind of stuff. And while this is a decent, potential resume, it's not have anything near as good as it should be to get the great job, not just any job, the great job, right? And that's how we write resumes, to get the great job. Another resume here, candidate, the objective. That objective is going out the window, and you really don't need one anymore. Your skill sets and what you've done tell the story, but there's another way to put the objective in that makes it even more clear, and it's with your title and your core competencies, and we'll get into that here very, very shortly. Here's another resume, just a lot of information, the executive summary, lots of information on that. Nothing wrong with that. The education's at the top, and while the education is very important, the job that you're applying to is even more important, the skill sets. We get down to the professional experience halfway down the page, which is okay, except the fact that I still don't know what you do until I get down to find out that you're a senior risk analyst, or whatever the case might be. So, we'll talk about that. Again, this resume, I'm not, against the way this resume is formatted with the different colors and everything else. I just know how great this person is, and if we redid this resume to make them shine to the position that they're applying to, it would be a great day. Here's a claims resume. Again, not bad, Not bad at all, except you got this long profile and you got dots and you got formatting issues and you got all kinds of stuff going on here. And it's just a lot of information that we may not even need half this information for the types of jobs that you might be applying to, or whatever the case might be. So that's kind of neat. But it's 6 seconds, man. Robots are 0.0006 seconds when they read a resume, and the robots are here. They're reading your resume and they're distributing it to the talent acquisition people, on their own. But the human takes about 6 seconds. So what can we feed them in 6 seconds? And that's what we're going to talk about. This is the most important piece of this whole presentation today, is just kind of going over how we do this. And it's done by clear title, core competencies, and examples of greatness. And it all starts out with the job, right? So this is a Chubb job, and it's a senior claims specialist. Note the title and so forth. The job that you are applying to is the final exam, and you have the answers. Your resume needs to identify what the skill sets are in a job description. And once you do that, and the keywords that they use, somehow we need to transfer that to our resume. If you find that you're reading through a job description and there's no keywords in there that you are capable of doing, do not apply to that job. That's the number one reason you don't hear back, because you don't have the experience. It's looking for, something like terrorism claims or something like that, and you don't have that, but that's 90% of the job. But you think you can do it because you've done every other kind of claim under the sun. A lot of times you won't get the job interview because of that, right? But we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But this is where it starts, the job description, right? Final exam. Keywords, general liability, auto. You just go down. There's even a claims number in there. So I'm Bob Davis, and what I'm trying to do is create this resume. Now, notice, and I don't know why that got cut off, but it's the name, and I even say to take the address off. I just usually just use Orlando, Florida. And that's all I need there, and the email address and the phone number. But right under there, senior claims specialist, right? Where did we hear that before? Well, senior claims specialist. Your job at your current company, you may be a claims specialist, or you might be called a claims adjuster, or so many other titles. On your resume, the title of your resume should match the title of the job that you're applying to, as long as you can do the job that you're applying to. Titles mean nothing because they're so different in every single company. However, the keyword value to that title matching up to the person who's reading the resume, as well as the robot that's reading the resume, it's an automatic hit. And even in the parentheses right here, I put auto, liability, and umbrella. And that's very important because that's what this position's calling for. I put a couple sentences in there about what I've done, and then my core competencies include all the keywords that are needed for this job. As you can see, in the very top third of this resume, you can tell what this person has done. If you're recruiting for that position at Chubb, you're going to continue reading this resume. There's no deciphering that this person's a senior claims specialist handling auto, liability, and umbrella, and they do investigations, analyze insurance coverage, attorney rep files, customers, go through it. It's a beautiful thing. Love this, by the way. And then you do your career progression. You take your companies, and then that's where you enhance these keywords. In other words, that's where they come to life, and so forth. Here's the rest of his resume. Notice I put the education at the bottom of the resume and the designations at the bottom. They're very important. Don't get me wrong. All that stuff's important, but what's really important to the robots and to the person looking at your resume is the fact that hey, can you do the job? Do you have the skill sets and things like that? I'm going to give you some more examples of this as we go. But everything in this resume is tied back to that job description, and then we talk about all the different things: decreased team variance by 3.5, increased annual volume claims handled 29%. All these things of making those keywords come to life, and that's very, very important. So a resume makeover. Let's do one. This is Randy resume, right? And Randy resume is, again, not a bad resume. They got the address at the top, objective, where they worked and so forth. Immediately, one of the cool things is when you work for great companies like Geico or Direct General or things like that, that always can catch people's eyes as well, because you work at these companies that are well known. They're going to know that you've been trained pretty well and things like that. So that's always a big help. But it starts out again. You got to find. So Randy resume had to go find a job. So he found the senior claims adjuster position, and just going through it, I just highlighted the different things. It's the final exam, the job description, interviews, investigations, estimates of repair, diary, writing skills, SIU involvement, effectively handling difficult calls, 10 litigation triage meetings. These are all things that you probably do, but these are the things that they're really looking for. And if you can bring these to life on your resume, as well as make sure the keywords match up, the robots and the humans are going to really appreciate that. Leave nothing to the imagination of these individuals and these robots. Who the robots are our friends. The robots are our friends, and they're very sophisticated for the most part, but they still need to be fed the right thing. Insurance license, this is a Florida position. Exact made, another keyword, obviously. Organizational skills, ability to multitask in fast-paced environment. I'd circle that because that's a common thing. You guys should all have that if you're a claims adjuster anyway. So how do you bring that to life? And that's something that you have to do in the resume. So here's Randy's resume, the original resume. And what we're going to do is take Randy, and we're going to do a couple things. All resumes should be written in Calibri, and I always suggest 11 point. The top third of the resume, as we've already talked about, is the most important thing. Name, where do you live, phone number, email, title, and then little sentence about what you do, and then their core competencies. Obviously, the keywords are king. So let's take a look at Randy's resume. Randy resume, Tampa, Florida, phone number, email, senior claims adjuster, exactly the way it was on the thing. Detailed, oriented, professional, providing insurance claim support, ability to negotiate, investigate situations, core competencies include. And all of those keywords are in there. Again, as long as he does those things. If he doesn't do those things, you can't put him in there. You can stuff the ballot box, but then you'll fail the interview. The resume is your license to get the interview and to get the interview for great jobs. If you look at this is his resume before, same information, some of the same information is in here, not all of it, but now this is the information, and look how beautiful this is. This is really good stuff. And this is going to be a huge help to you to understand that this resume was built for this job. It wasn't built for anything else. It was built for this particular job. If you find yourself applying to 1,000 different jobs, you're probably wasting time because the jobs that you're applying to aren't great fits for you or not great jobs. But then you can go through all these different things, the senior claims adjuster, the property claims adjuster. Whoever is looking at this resume is saying, wow, this is a very, very, very good resume. And again, all the certifications, exact mate, the 620, the states, they required certain states, as we saw, the education, all that good stuff. I am just excited about this resume because if your resume looks like this, it's good. Here's a question I get all the time. Well, I was I want to be, I want to apply to a workers' comp position, but my last job, I was a property adjuster and I just want to be in workers' comp, but that was 3 years ago. And how do I do that? And, that's the beauty of the resume. That they're looking for the experience. And if you have a few years of workers' comp claims experience, but you're doing property claims now, you can take your job that you're currently doing and just make it very, very small and then blow up your second job, the one that you had 3 years ago, and bring all that workers' comp in there, as well as all the worker comp keywords and the core competencies, and bring your other jobs to life. Just because were out of workers' comp for a while, but you've been in claims, you'll be fine. The problem is too many people write the book on property claims, and the whoever's reading the resume never gets to the point that you were an actual workers' comp adjuster. And your title should be workers' comp adjuster as well. Do not leave anything to the imagination, and you're going to have an unbelievable experience in getting interviews. Resumes are licenses to get interviews. That's what they are. Don't let anybody else tell you anything different. And you got to be able to understand that. And I hope that's pretty clear to you guys. Some tools, I love this tool here. It's Word and LinkedIn. Microsoft and LinkedIn bought each other, and they have a tool, and it's on the newer version of Word. But when you're working your resume, it'll actually go out to LinkedIn and find similar profiles to what you're trying to do. And you can get a lot of information on different words and different things that are the way to write certain sentences, the way to really enhance your career. So because I know a lot of you have troubles writing and trying to figure stuff out, there's no problem going in and seeing the best way to write a sentence about your claim skills at a certain point. So that's also good. The impact, and that's where you bring these keywords to life and these statements to life. And this is what else is also missing on the resume. I will tell you this: if you have the first third of the resume, you're 80% of the way to a great interview. But if you do the rest of this, you're almost guaranteed the interview, as long as you have the experience. But in making impact statements, here's an account executive at Setland, led a service team for middle market corporate accounts, acted as a liaison between insurance carriers and clients. Impact: led rewrite it. Lead of 14 service team members to be liaisons between insurance carriers and clients, earned the highest company score out of 38 nations office-wide. Same sentence, you can see the impact. Responsible for managing law firms as a risk manager, managed over 34 law firms, and reduced company-wide litigation costs by 30% by creating negotiated guidelines that reduce wasted billable hours. You guys have done some amazing work in what you do, and clarify that. Use examples. Talk about your successes and bring it to life. On who you are. Oversaw TPA for workers' compensation claims risk manager. There's another risk manager. Very responsible for all workers' compensation claims. Managed TPA. Saved over 1.3 million a year by analyzing services, which is another team that provide a more robust, efficient, cost-effective claims process. And shows leadership, shows a lot of different things. So impact statements are just, identifying. Do not take it for granted that just because you do property claims that there's not an impact that you've made. Think about those the words, anything that you've done to make a difference in your office, and that's unbelievable resume material. The things that drive me crazy, we've already talked about this. So many people will send me a resume without even an address or a city or anything like that. That drives me crazy. But you need to have at least a city. Companies do not like to guess where you live. People that highlight text still, I'm just shocked by this. Yes, you can put a highlighter on things, but don't do it on this. The word cell phone or email, we know it's a cell phone, we know it's an email. If you write the word home phone, um, you're giving away that you haven't cut that cord at home yet. But are you really answering that, or are you answering your cell phone? Just use your cell phone. Um, 2-page resumes are more than fine. 3-page resume are fine, but just remember the final exam is the job description of the job that you're applying to. And that job that you had 15, 20 years ago that has no relevance whatsoever to the job and the skills needed for the job you're applying to today, that information on your resume can be diluted so much. It might even just be where you worked because it's not relevant to the situation. If it's relevant information to the job that you're applying to, then you can keep it, and that would extend your resume to 2 to 3 pages. But most of the time, it's not relevant. Jobs, we're in a skill-based economy, and you've got to understand that the job description will tell you exactly what you need to have on your resume. Save your resume as a file, because so they know that they can look at their files and they can see Joe Kelly risk management resume 2019, and just do that. Get used to doing that. So many people just put the word resume or something and send that stuff along. It just gets lost in the shuffle, but it's another key word. Get the keywords always in your resume at every place you can. And then adding your picture is not cool. If you add your picture, it's just the weirdest thing. We polled a ton of insurance employers, and they are just 96% said, no way do we want a picture on a resume. I know they can go right to LinkedIn and find all that stuff out. And if you don't have a picture on LinkedIn, you're a freak. So you have to have your picture on LinkedIn, but don't put it on your resume just yet. And one day we'll probably get through that. So just a couple other things. When I look at this picture here, we're from Orlando, and this is one of just an outdoor festival before COVID. But all these people are, they're all out there, and if they all sent me a resume, I could probably figure out maybe what 15 to 20% of them do within seconds, because they have not adjusted their keywords properly or titles and all this other stuff. But that's the point. It's almost like you're not human anymore, and we are keywords. And think about that for a second. It's true, and it sucks, but it's true, because it's the systems that are used to get into the applicant tracking systems, or get your information and your interest level to an employer. And that's why these applicant tracking systems are robotic in a lot of places, but a lot of the times it's just algorithms that's looking for keywords. The more sophisticated ones that are coming, it's all artificial intelligence. They're going to get your information. They're going to go out and find even more information on you and make a decision based on what they find about you and so forth. Stay tuned for that. But if it's not, if your resume is not optimized, a lot of times you just won't get selected. And or it'll be a lot of times your information isn't even completed all the way, so you get discounted for incomplete information. The keywords are kings. These computers, they just don't have any feelings, but if it gets in front of a human, it does. And let me just show you something really interesting. Is Career Crossroads puts a fake resume. They write a fake resume with keywords, and they used to, they don't even do it anymore, but this is from a couple years ago, but they did it for many years straight. This is Frankenstein, right? And there's so many fake things in this resume, but the one thing that is in this resume is keywords, and the keywords to different recruiting softwares, things like that. They sent it out, and guess what happened? They received 238 responses, 18 companies requested interviews, 2 noticed it was fake, and they recognize that employers really need to improve their hiring process. But that's how powerful, I'm not saying fake your resume. I'm saying, hey, that job description is so important. and it is your final exam, and so forth. So, really take that. And people say to me all the time, well, that means every time I send out my resume, I got to change it to the job description. Well, in the insurance industry is weird, right? Whether you're claims underwriting, broker, agent, account manager, a technology person, whatever it is that you do, you're going to do a certain type of job. And you're not going to have to make a lot of changes most of the time for the types of jobs that you're applying to. It's the changes that you're going to make is you're going to have to be able to talk the language of the company that wants to hire you. And just because you were called a claims adjuster at one company, it doesn't mean that you can't be a claims specialist at the next, or even a claims supervisor at the next, just because you didn't have the title over there. You can bring that information out, because titles are the most misleading thing ever of all time in the insurance industry. And because they never line up from company to company to company. But with your resume, you can make that happen. It's your license to get that interview, and that's extremely important. And I hope this video has really helped you out. I am so passionate about resumes in the insurance industry, and in any industry actually, to be able to take that information and make someone come to life on a piece of paper, just because they understand this is how it's being pushed into this piece of paper. But if you need anything, just don't hesitate to give me a call, and or an email. Follow me on Twitter. I will help you any way I can, because the resume thing that I've presented to you today, in my opinion, after all these years, is spot on to help you get a great job. Just not any job, get a great job. Thank you very much for your time.